Okay, we're back in Prodeus, and I just got a comment from Tokama in the chat who says the disconnect between the smoothness of movement and the low frame rate animation on the enemies is a little jarring to me. I can totally understand that, and we're gonna start out the next level, which is called Research. Yeah, it is interesting how like. The thing is, that is kind of how the original Doom was. Like, in fact, the resolution on these. The resolution on these enemies' rotations is much higher than I think it was. Like I think the original Doom, the enemies had maybe 8 directions they could face. They could face directly at you. They could be at a 45. They could be sideways. They could be back, and they could be straight back. Like so, yeah. So I think they had 8 directions they could go. These enemies seem to have more directions. They might have like 16 or 12 directions. And so they're actually smoother than the enemies in Doom. But, you know, when you're running on a Doom, if you had a decent machine back then, it was just really smooth. I mean, I think the id back then, even before a lot of machines even had the power to do anything interesting at a high frame rate, id really cared a lot about frame rate. In fact, one of their first games that, I might be thinking of a different game. Anyway, they really cared about sort of like, you know, high performance. And you can see that. I mean, like, some of the other games they've done, like Rage, for instance, was all about having a high frame rate. And so, yeah, so Doom performed really well. And that same feeling of you're moving smoothly through the world, but the enemies are chunky. That's very familiar. So to me, I'm getting a nostalgia hit from that. Okay, looks like this portal thing here. I mean, what would a Doom clone be without portals? Alright, so now there's a new one over here. Hi. I don't get a really strong sense of how many shots it should take to kill an enemy in this game. Like, sometimes something that I think will kill an enemy quickly doesn't. And sometimes something that I think will kill an enemy slowly kills them quickly. There could be some kind of, like, critical system going on under the surface here. Not sure. Hold Q to change weapons. Whoa, I shot its legs off. That's a thing? So let me hold Q. Oh, what? I can just choose any of my weapons this way? I didn't realize that was a thing. I mean, so they've got them hooked up to numbers. It's like each style of weapon is on a different number. So I guess it's time that I revealed these bad boys. So the thing that's, you know, I mentioned that, you know, every weapon has got a fire and an alt fire, right? So what's special about these guns? Why are they covered in blood? Oh, that was nuts. Anyway, what's special about these guns is that you can fire one of them, and you can fire for a long time before you need to reload. Or you can fire both at once. And you have twice the firepower, but it takes way more ammo. You go through the ammo much faster. You have to reload sooner. The thing that's interesting is it's not tracking the ammo separately for the two guns. Like, firing one and then switching and firing the other is the same as firing the same one continuously, which is kind of funny to me. So it really is just a single gun. This is not really dual wielding two separate guns. So you notice there are these yellow handprints, these yellow locks. So I can't open any of these things until I get the yellow key. So this is even more so than the last one. This is a mission where we're going to play through a whole bunch of it first, and then play back through it again once we've got the key and we have access to completely different things. there's some kind of secret back here. Ah, look at that. Yay, auto map acquired. Wow, what? Get out of here. Oh, right, I forgot. I've got a run button, don't I? Yay, armor. So, Tokamaga's Doom enemies were sprites. Are these in this game? Yeah, I believe so. So they look 3D modeled. And so when you first look at them, you think, oh yeah, these guys are 3D modeled. But if you watch them carefully, their animations are very chunky, and you see them from very specific angles. Which means what I think they've done is... I've opened a gate to hell, haven't I? Yeah, what I think they've done is rendered them originally in 3D. Oh, hi. Like, created them in 3D, but then rendered them out into sprites. And so I think they created the models, they created the animations, all of it in 3D, but then they rendered it out in these sprites to get that Doom look. Like, look at this body, for instance. As I'm moving around, it's twitching into different configurations. I think that's because it's a sprite. I could be wrong though, because another thing it could be doing is this could be a real 3D model that's deforming depending on the direction I pointed at it. That's just as convincing an explanation, honestly, to me. And actually, it looks like it might be clipping in a little bit, so maybe it's not a sprite. Maybe it's a 3D model that's meant to act like a sprite. By switching between different versions of the model depending on the angle I'm viewing it at, but still staying up against the wall. Oh, that's so fascinating. Why? Why did they do it that way? I mean, I think I get it. I mean, they're going for the aesthetic. The aesthetic is what matters. Ah, hi. I'm just fascinated by... just the idea of, like, you know, old school video game aesthetics were all about dealing with the limitations of the medium. Oh, come on. And so it's fascinating to me when game developers will take an aesthetic that was originally about a limitation and then just do it as an affectation. I mean, I love it. Oh, that thing is explosive, I guess. It's got a secret. I don't quite know what it was, but it was a secret. This is the normal way I would have come through. Well, let's switch back to the shotgun, just because I don't have all the ammo in the world. Let's push a scary button. Anybody left? You. Alright. Rune. Ah! Okay, let's try to take out the enemies that can shoot at me. I can keep running away to avoid the enemies that are in melee, but the enemies that shoot are bad. Okay. I think if I stay up here, most of these enemies can't reach me. Ow, but I also... that damage over time attack is bad. Oh, did I just shoot one of his legs off? Okay, yeah, that is making me think more that maybe these guys really are 3D model and they're just designed to act like sprites. Oh, that's so weird. So, I mean, they did such a good job of that. I originally believed they were sprites, but now I think maybe they're... Yeah. No, they're like complicated. They're actually... These 3D models are probably more complicated than ones that are not trying to look like sprites. Like, it would have been simpler just to make 3D modeled enemies. They decided to make 3D modeled enemies that act like sprites. What the heck? Okay, yellow key. Now we're going to go back through the entire level with access to a completely different set of things. Hi. Ah. So unlike the imps in the original Doom, these imps shoot really fast. Oh, so I guess that fire effect, maybe originally I thought it came from headshots. Maybe it comes from this charged shot, and it does damage over time. Yeah, maybe that's what's going on. So I can do damage over time to an enemy, and they'll slowly die. So now I can open all these things up. Yeah, I'm pretty convinced that that's what the fire's coming from. Alright, so new checkpoint. And now this door was there at the very beginning. And now I'm finally getting to open it. And they're giving me a bunch of rifle ammo. I refuse to use it yet. The shotguns are just so... Whoa. What the... They're just so satisfying. Something about that one big hit from a shotgun. Alright. Ah! I thought that red stuff was keeping him in there. Okay. I thought it had to disappear before he would come after me. So that's where I originally got that gun. So the alt fire for this gun is just spinning the barrel so that you can start firing faster, because it's got a delay under normal conditions. You can't even see the enemies, it's just a shower of strawberry jam. In this game, this gun never has to reload. And now I'm out of bullets, but who cares? I got everything I need, and we're out. There's research for you. Let's see here. So let's just catch up with the chat a little bit. So Awesome Twitch Dude says, "Is this legal? It's basically Doom." I mean, it's an homage. So if they had like actually taken code from Doom, or if they had directly copied specific things from Doom, that might be problematic. But they didn't. I mean, it's clearly inspired by Doom, but it's. I would definitely consider this to be completely fair homage territory. Which is good, because I think one of the great things about the way that copyright law works is the fact that if you specifically profit from somebody else's work, that's a problem. But you are allowed to sort of build on the shoulders of giants. If somebody does something great and you can do something even greater in the same vein, you don't do the exact same thing as them. You don't, but you can learn from them and build something cooler. And so, I mean, I think the level design. I really love the level design in Prodeus, and I feel like that They did a great job of building the levels, partly because they were informed by so many years of people, playing and remaking and varying from and learning from Doom levels. Like, they've made kind of ultimate Doom levels because they really built them on it before. And if once id made Doom, no one else was able to make anything that was derived from Doom because it would be copying id, that would have been a big problem. I mean, it used to be that the entire first-person shooter genre was called Doom clones, and if they weren't allowed to make Doom clones, there's so many games would be missing right now. So yeah, no, I think that's completely fair. Other things here that people have said. Yarnhead says that this game needs more blood. Yeah, right. Oh, and then Awesome Twitch just had a question about State of Decay. Yes, was shooting while driving cut? And let's see here. I think somebody. Oh yeah, and then he says that Foggy had claimed that it was, and that he was the former design director. Yeah, so Foggy was a design director on State of Decay. When it shipped, and like during most of development, he was the design director. And yeah, and when he said that, he was telling the truth. That we had the idea of allowing players to shoot from cars. We had every idea, just everything you could imagine doing, we wrote down at some point or another. So there's nothing special about shooting while driving. It's one of a million ideas that we had and then cut when we decided, what we were actually going to make. But one of the reasons why we cut it was because it was going to be virtually impossible to be precise shooting while driving. And whereas this is a game where they make ammo incredibly cheap and they just want you to blow through your ammo like crazy and just bullets everywhere. That's the kind of game that Prodeus is. State of Decay 2 is not like that at all. In State of Decay 2, each bullet is precious. Now, if you've been playing for ages and you've built up a huge store of bullets in a continuous community, you can make bullets cheap, but by default bullets are very precious. And so the idea of having somebody like driving at top speed while you're firing at a window at a zombie, it was going to be such a waste. Like, I think we really strongly suspected that very few players would ever do it. And given the fact that it was going to take a lot of crazy animation and behavior work to make it look right and feel right for a character to be aiming out the window, like, can you aim only in an arc outside your window? Can you lean out of the window and aim over the top of the car? Can you, there's all these questions about how do we make this feel good? How do we give the player all of the control that they want, but have the character not look insane doing it? That you'll notice one thing, like for instance, if you get into one of the back seats of a car, your character will do an insane worm move to get up into the front seat, which no one could do in real life. But that's what it took to get the character to do what the player felt intrinsically, like deep inside, they should be able to do. And so it was going to be a lot of headaches to try to make it work. And we're like, no one's going to do this, or the number of players who do this is going to be like less than 1%. So we're at least regularly. So we were just like, let's spend our time on other things. So we spend our time on other complicated things rather than that. So there's your answer. So those are the 2 levels that I've played so far of Prodeus. I do intend to continue playing this. I would love to find out what this wretch level is all about. But for right now, I'm getting very tired. And so I think continuing is going to be a challenge. So I think we're going to go to the end screen and wrap up our playing of Prodeus. So there we go. You can subscribe if you want to, or, you know, eventually if I do play Wretch, maybe it'll be up here. I don't know. Maybe I won't play it. You'll find out.